What's up, everyone? It's your girl Ton. It is time for another Let's Talk. And today we are going to be talking about the late in life lesbians. So if you checked out my video, the lesbian experience or the 9 types of lesbians, that was one of the types of lesbians that I spoke of, the late in life lesbians. And what the late in life lesbians are, they have accepted or, have discovered who they are late in life, right? And it could be for many different reasons. Everybody is not a monolith, and everyone's experience is different. And some of the reasons why they're late in life, it could be because they didn't know. It could be that they just wasn't aware, right? It could be that they were prevented, due to you may have been married, may have been in the church, or it could have just been due to heterosexual norm. Growing up, we're expected to grow up, get married, have children. That is just what we saw. We just saw a heterosexual normative, right? But now, I think because of social media, because of the age that we're in, I think because also the planetary aspects that are out there, and just the awareness that women are becoming aware of themselves, the game is changing. And I think because there's more of a visual presence, women are able to align with what they're seeing, right? And with that, they're finding and slipping into a new phase of life, a new phase of happiness, an experience that they have not never experienced before, right? And those are the true lesbians who enjoy the lesbian experience, even with all the bullshit, even with all the, uh, we're enjoying the lesbian experience, right? We know we're home. This is where we should have been, and we love it here, right? But with that also comes regret, regret and remorse, and the regret and the remorse is the feeling that you have wasted. You've wasted your time, you wasted your energy, you've wasted love, you've wasted, comes to play. Because you begin thinking, well, if I had have been living in my truth when I was younger, my life would have been totally different, right? So you go into a regretful, remorseful stage. You look at all the energy and the time, and it's no shade to previous partners or anything along that line. It's just a connection, right? And you look at all the time that you spent with the opposite gender because this is what society told us we should do. And you see all of the waste, all the time, all of the love that may or may not have been reciprocated back. It's so remorse and regret sets in, right? And so I have experienced that, and even now, it's been what 12 years, uh, but I've been dating women, still thinking back of the time that I've wasted, the fun that I could have had, and just the genuine connection. Now, again, there's no shade to my previous partners, uh, because the good mass majority of them, I did have a good connection, but it wasn't the connection that my soul needed. It was looking for, you know. And I think that is where a lot of the remorse and the regret come. Yeah, they got on my nerves. And, it wasn't especially thinking back, but, I cared about them. We did have a connection. For me, and even then, I just feel like we could have been better friends than trying to be in partnerships or trying to raise children or what have you, right? So I really wish that I had experienced my younger years with a woman. I really do. And I know that my life would have turned out differently. I know that raising children would have turned out differently. I really wish that I had raised my children with a woman. I really wish that I see the young lesbians now, they are getting pregnant together, they are raising children together, they're creating a home. And, I kind of feel sad. I feel happy for them, but I feel sad for myself. And I think that the guys do the best that they can or the best that they know. But I think with women, it just comes more innately, right? So, you know, I experienced regret and remorse because of the connection. And now, due to the connections I have with women, like I said, I believe that my outcome would have been different, right? And I think it would have been so much better for me. It would have been better for my children. And I'm still, yeah, I'm just sad. I'm just sad that I feel like, because there's no do overs, there's no go backs, there's no starting over. You can only start from your current starting point, right? And so, the lovely TikTok let me know that I'm not alone, right? That there are lots of women. And, it's crazy because I really just thought that it was just me. I thought that it was just me that had the experience and the loss of time, the loss of energy, the loss of love. And but you know what? You will find your crew, you will find your tribe, you will find those that you connect with on TikTok because everybody is speaking out. Like the women aren't silent anymore. We're speaking out, we're communicating it with each other on many different levels and layers, not just being a lesbian, but just in many aspects of it. So of course, I want to look at some videos of some ladies that share my current sentiments, right? And for those that may be questioning themselves, and shout out to my friend Michelle, who um, passed away 2 years back, and I think that was awakening in her. She had reached out to me. We had a couple of conversations, and I think that she was at the curious stage. And I get on Facebook one day and seeing that she had passed away. And so I guess I'm going to dedicate this video to her, rest her soul, because she would have been what we call a late life lesbian. Because I believe she was a little bit older than me, if not just a little bit, right? So before we go into our videos, make sure that you follow me on TikTok for however long we have TikTok. We still kind of up in the air to make decisions and whatever. But until then, follow me on TikTok. My name is Tana J. Naje. All right, cool. All right, so let me make sure that because I was running my mouth when I was talking about Wicked. Um, I was talking about Michelle. I didn't remember if I had clicked the sound button so you all can hear the video. All right, so again, make sure y'all follow me, Tanaje. All right, so let's listen to our first lesbian. And it's crazy because, okay, I'm 53. I'll be 54 in November. And I started dating women in 2012. It was July of 2012. So I was 41 years then, right? When I had a conversation with myself probably about 6 months before dating my first woman, right? And I was just open and honest. Before I decided I was going to date women, I had a conversation with myself and I decided that I just wasn't going to date men anymore because I wasn't getting what I wanted out of dating men. I had to ask myself, what is it that I want in a relationship? What is it that I want in a partner? What is it that I want in sex? What is it that I want? And it's not that the guys that I was with weren't a partner, weren't it's not like we weren't sexually active. It's not like we didn't have a connection. But the type of connection that I wanted, I realized I'm not going to get it from a man. No shade to any of my exes. And so first, I just decided, okay, I'm just not going to date. Since I know that what I want from a partner, I'm not going to be able to get it from a man. I had just decided, okay, I'm just not going to date. I'm over it. I'm just done dating. And then I had another conversation with myself a little bit later and kind of relived my life, relived my experiences outside of men, kind of evaluated what I liked, what I wanted, and that's when I opened myself up to dating women. And so about 6 months later, I've seen a woman the very first woman that I was attracted to in that moment. And so it's really not about not being with men. It's about connecting with the right woman. So at 41, I had my first lesbian relationship, lesbian experience, and I love it here. Even with all the bullshit, even with all the fuckery, even with all the, you know, I love it here. So let's listen to our first lady. Oh, and so what I was getting is that I was 41 at the time. I'm 53 now. I still have late night lesbian regret, right? And what I'm seeing is that a lot of these young women that experience late in life lesbian regret is that they're young. They're in their 30s, looks like maybe 20s, 30s. And so it's like, oh, okay. And I guess the thought process is that because now you have young teenagers, like I was first sexual experience with a guy was at 14. And I truly believe, if my first experience at 14 would have been with a girl, I don't think I would have ever dated guys. That's just my opinion. That's not everybody's opinion. That's not everybody's experience. There's no shade on my baby daddy, who was my first partner, but I just wouldn't, because I would have able to, and we had a very good connection, not even sexually, just we're still good friends now. But there is just a different connection. It is what it is. All right, so let's listen to. I have a few videos that I want to go through and chop it up with y'all. So y'all ready?
Lesbians, I would like to file a motion and propose that we stop using the term late in life lesbian, because late in life lesbian sounds like you became a lesbian later in life, and that's not the case. You were always a lesbian. You were just bamboozled, okay? Run amok. It was tomfoolery. You just
And I will say that that's true. And I'm not going to go into it now because I do want to kind of get through these videos. But once I took a look at my life, I realized that I've always liked girls. I just didn't know that I liked girls. I didn't recognize it. I don't know what I was expecting to feel or experience, or, I just, but when I look back, and maybe I'll do a video on, you know, how, why, and when I became a lesbian. I look back and I'm like, well, damn. And that was part of the conversation that I had with myself right before I decided I'm going to start dating women.
just didn't know because of compat and the patriarchy. You were tricked into being just in denial about it. But it was always there. It was always in you. Every time you had a crush on a teacher, that was your lesbian. That was your inner lesbian. Every time you stared at a girl's bra strap a little too long, or you were sitting behind her in class, that was your inner lesbian. She was always there. You weren't friends with her, but she was there. So no, you're not late in life. You might be late to the party, but you're not a later in life lesbian. Girl, you always been gay, and you know it, and I know it, and your mama even knows it. Okay.
So, so with that, like I said, I'm not going to go. This video will be hella long if I go into all of that. Uh, and I do believe that, so I do believe that the majority of people are bisexual, that they could have that experience if it presented it to themselves. But we cannot deny, I don't want my straights feeling like I'm not a lesbian, I'm not a lesbian. Well, there are plenty of straights that are straight. This video ain't about you. This video is about those who are late to the party, like the sister just said. All right, let's go to the next one.
The therapy, and I just wanted to share with you guys what I was talking about with my therapist, because my voice is so crackly because it's so early. I'm not a morning person, sorry. So we were talking about the fact that as lesbians, sometimes we have to grieve. We have to grieve when you come out later, specifically in life. If you come out like after your 20s, you have to grieve like a childhood and adolescence you didn't get to have, because
Right.
heteronormative standards are placed on you. And so you lived a life that was not yours. You lived a life that was told to you, sold to you a lie, that if you just do these things, you'll have a good, happy life. And so you did the things and you dated men, and that you come out later in life. And so now you're stuck with one, all this grief of like a life you never got to live, like your true life. On top of that, you're stuck with these like traumatic memories of dating men because you didn't actually like them. So the whole time you're like dissociated and uncomfortable, and you can't explain why you feel like this. And like, I used to always think something was wrong with me.
Okay, so of course they want to cut the grass while we're doing the video, but that's okay. We're gonna keep it pushing.
That was always what I said. I would always be like, I just don't have that bone in my body that people have that make them want to be in love and in relationships. Like, I thought that there was literally something wrong with me. Turns out I was just gay. But you have to like grieve all of that when you come out. Like, you have to deal with all those feelings. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys. If anybody's going through that, let yourself grieve, let yourself be sad, let yourself be angry, let yourself be frustrated, and like do the healing now by letting yourself be 100% authentic. Like, if you want to go clubbing at 45 because you never got to do that when you were younger at gay clubs, do it. Absolutely. I highly recommend it. I did that. I went through a clubbing phase. I went through a dating phase. I went through going out every weekend phase. Like, let yourself go through your second queer adolescence and like do all the things you didn't get to do in the life that was taken from you by the society that told you if you just did certain things you'd be okay, because we were also the lie. They didn't tell us like it's okay to be gay too, and if you go down the hetero path, you're going to be unhappy. Like, no one tells you that. So I'm going to tell you that it's okay to grieve. It's okay to be angry, and it's okay to make up for lost time. Date all the girls, kiss all the girls, go clubbing, get your free drinks. And then when you're done and you get it out your system, you can settle down. There's no rules to how you're supposed to heal. So that's my word for the day. Is a heal however feels good to you. Give yourself permission to do it in a way that feels authentic, because that is the thing that caused the damage in the first place, is living someone else's life.
And I think that that is very, very, very important, right? Very, very important to heal and to find happiness. You know, a lot of times we put other people's happiness in front of our own, and this is in regards to whatever it is. And we have to take time to make ourselves happy as well. All right, let's listen to what Miss Brown Skin has to say. She's cute.
This is for all my girlies that like come out in their 20s, 30s, even 50s. Like, we're valid, okay? I just want to stop right there and say we're valid. Yeah, we haven't been lesbian since we were teenagers. Yes, we've dated men before. Like, I know that's gonna shock all my straight people, but like, yes, I have dated men before, and now I am a lesbian. I'm not bisexual, I'm a lesbian. And that's okay. Like, and it's okay if you're also bisexual. But this is for all the girlies that come out later in life, just letting you know that you're valid and you're allowed to do that. We're allowed to get away from the social norms that we were taught before and turn into our true selves and become lesbians and date women and marry women, and that's okay. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. This is for all my girlies.
And I love that. I love that because oftentimes, you know, people are confused. They're like, "Well, you used to date men before." Yeah, but I don't anymore. And I have no plans on going back. That is the difference. All right, let's keep going because this lawnmower is about to get on my nerves. All right, so this really, let me mute it because she just has music playing, but it says no, because this is how it feels when you finally realize you're a lesbian and can't be with your husband anymore, and you have to tell your children and blow up your entire life. Now, luckily, that was not my experience. I would imagine that would be horrible, especially living in a lie and feeling trapped in it. When I came out, I was very much single. I was already, out of my marriage. So I can't even imagine. But I tell you what, I wouldn't have continued to live in that lie. But that's just me. But I don't have unconditional love either. My love comes with conditions, and so is me staying with you, right? And it's not going to be at the detriment or the expense of my happiness, but that's just how I am, right? I will drop a motherfucker at the drop of a dime if I feel that somebody has me fucked up. And that's just me. I know that everybody ain't like that, and everybody has to travel down their own path or what have you. But yeah, so shout out to the women who is coming to this realization and has to go through this, because I know there's got to be, I know there's got to be a fucked up feeling. All right. The next one, I'm just going to read it. It has music playing, and she really doesn't do anything but just kind of sit back. And it says, since coming out, I realized physical touch is my love language. I used to think I didn't care for it, but really, I just never wanted it from men. Right. And again, and I think the straights aren't going to realize where we're at in this aspect. But I just think of anything that you were told something, but it wasn't really your truth, but you just accepted it because that's how you felt it was supposed to be. All right? All right. Let's keep going.
Hey, baby, listen. Can we have a real conversation for just a minute? This is for my lesbians out there, okay? I specifically want to talk about late in life lesbians. One thing that I've heard over the last year from lesbians who have been out most of their life is that they don't want to be an experiment for someone who has recently come out. Baby, that's valid. Nobody wants to be an experiment. I do want to say this, though, as someone who has come out later in life than others. I know for myself, I'm not out here to experiment, okay? I burned my whole life down to be here. No matter when you come out, you take a risk, right? Doesn't matter if you're 13 or 35. You're taking that risk. You're risking that you might not be accepted in places that you were before, by family members, friends, community, whatever. I have so much respect for you. If you knew who you were at a young age and had the courage and the bravery to be exactly who you are, I think that's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us, though, we didn't have that bravery. We didn't have that courage. Speaking for myself, I grew up in a small town in North Alabama where it is not acceptable or celebrated to be gay. And if you are out and openly gay, you're going to hear about it from the Christian community. Prayers are going to be sent your way. Scripture verses are going to be sent your way. There's going to be shame. There's going to be some...
Shout out to my children, to my family, to my friends. That they didn't take me through this bullshit. But they wouldn't even be in my life if they did. But that's, again, how I run. How I roll. You know what I'm saying? But let's go.
Guilt from other people. It took me a long time.
See, I'm not going to feel guilty because what I'm doing makes you feel uncomfortable when it ain't got shit to do with you. But again, that's just how I roll.
To get to the place where I said, you know what? It is more important to me to be authentically who I am than for me to give a shit about what anyone else thinks.
Right.
I guess I just want to normalize the conversation around late life lesbians and that it's okay if it took you a long time to have enough courage to be here and to be who you are. I also want to say this. If you're somebody who has been out for a long time, you may want to consider dating a late life lesbian. Because we've been thinking about this for a long time. I know exactly what I want and exactly what I don't want. I've already wasted enough time, so I'm not playing with the time that I have left. And while I'm not in a hurry to lock anything down, I am actively looking for my person and my partner.
Now, that is a very good point because, like I said, I'm 12 years in, and I would not want to date a new lesbian that's younger, that's hella young, that's just, you know what I'm saying? But she makes a very good point for an older lesbian, older baby lesbian, right? And she makes a good point. Now, you have to tap in after you have your what they call your hoe phase. Everybody doesn't have a hoe phase, right? But she makes a very good point and something to consider.
I'm also showing up 100% honest and authentic without any games. I'll tell you this too. I have been in women-loving women relationships since I got a divorce. But even before that, I don't have to prove to anyone that I'm gay. I already did that when I left a marriage, when I burned down my life, when I risked losing my family and my friends and the people that I care about by coming out of the closet. I already did the hard shit. I had a business that completely closed because when word got out that I was a lesbian, people boycotted my business and stopped coming to my business in my small town.
That's crazy.
If you're a late in life lesbian, I just want you to know, baby, you don't have anything to prove to anyone. You go be exactly who you are. And the right person is going to see your value and your worth and be like, I want her. I'm chasing her down. Anyway, if you stayed for my TED Talk, thanks for being here. Love you. Bye.
That's crazy, but people are crazy. You know, people will put themselves in positions in your life that they don't have any rightful reason to be there. And it's up to us to be, and this is in any regards, but it's up to us to be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, this don't have nothing to concern, no concern of yours. But we only got a few more videos to go, so let's check out what these ladies have to say.
Things that I've learned since being a later in life lesbian. Okay. Number one, women, we are very emotional. And two of women together, Jesus Christ. Another thing that I've learned, a lot of mask presenting women, I'm not going to say stud, I'm not going to say STEM, I'm not going to say no label, I'm going to say mask presenting, as in they look like a man, have been with a man. Yeah. So us femmes later in life, lesbians that feel some type of way or awkward about talking to women later in life and feeling the need to explain, most of these women have been with men at least once in their life. Yeah.
And I think the reason why she says it is because there is a thought process that if you've been with a man, you can't be a lesbian. But the kicker or the key factor in that is that you will be considered bisexual if you dated both. But if you're declared and not have decided that you're just not attracted to men and you only want to date lesbians, that is your reality. But you know, it's chaos within the lesbian community. So we ain't even gonna go there.
Yeah. Don't judge a woman based on how she looks or how she presents when it comes to in the bedroom. Baby, I get dominant, okay? And I'll be having a mask folded up like a pretzel. Men don't give a fuck if you're gay. You can have on a full rainbow. You can look like a man. You can walk like a man, talk like a man. They don't care about you being gay. They're still going to try to get with you.
That is a fact, and it's irritating as hell, but let's continue on.
At this point, I'm convinced that they want to be bent over.
Me too.
My later in life lesbians who also have children. Your younger children, they don't give a fuck. Older ones, yeah, they may or not.
And my children were middle to older, and you know, shout out to them. Shout out to them because you know they didn't have no issue. They wasn't traumatized like some people think. Shout out to my children. I love y'all.
Get with the program, but the younger ones, they don't care. As long as your person is friendly and nice, they don't give a fuck if it's a woman or a man.
Right.
Your family may not be accepting of this new you, of this true you. So you might have to let them go by the wayside. It's okay as long as you're happy. When lesbians become in a serious relationship, we become one. We're a package deal. Your heterosexual friends are not going to understand this because men, they don't stick to you like glue the way women do. Like women, we be on each other. Like, you know how we are. Like when we meet our person and we're in a relationship, like we're inseparable. Like literally we get an anxiety when we have to be away from each other. We're ready to be back with each other. Okay. So your heterosexual friends are not going to understand this, and they're not going to understand why you guys always have to be together. Yeah. So that's just a few things I can think of right now. If this do numbers, I'll do a part 2.
Okay. So she brought up some very good points, especially the cling to each other like white on rice. That is one thing that you will find within the lesbian community. Again, like I said, first date, there's no second date because the first date never ends. And so when you find your person, you basically are stuck to them like glue. And I mean, it's mutually, you know, stuckage, but nonetheless. Now, this one right here brings up a very, very good topic that needs to be considered when, you know, dating women.
About something that, listen, I want to talk real quick about something that is taboo. And I want to apologize to the lesbian community if you feel like I am perpetuating a negative stereotype that is already relevant in your community. But as a late blooming lesbian, I feel like we, as the late blooming community, need to hear more of us talk about these things. So I'm going to talk about them, and it's for me and my people. Now, for me, I was in a marriage for 24 years, and he never put his hands on me ever. And I didn't play those games of putting my hands on him. There was no pushing, there was no shoving, there was no get out of my face, there was no none of that. We did not do that. I consider what I had in my marriage healthy love. Not only just simply because of that, but because of many, many other factors, I considered it healthy love.
Now, I wanted to pause her right there because he will have the ex-wives in their feelings hurt, saying that the reason why women are lesbians late in life is because they didn't have a good man, or they didn't have the right man, or they couldn't find nobody to love them, or anything like that. And I've done a video, and I will say in this video as well that, oh my God, they're back. I had paused the video because they were cutting the grass, and now they're back. But anyway, and they, one, I understand why they're concerned themselves with lesbian affairs, but two, it doesn't mean that you came from a bad relationships, that you came from an abusive relationship, that you wasn't loved, that you couldn't find anyone. It is what it is, and it really has nothing to do with the men. It really don't, and I think that's what they need to know and hear and understand and comprehend. Being a lesbian has nothing to do with men. She just stated that she was in a healthy love, healthy relationship, healthy what have you. So they really need to get out their egos. They need to stop chasing women who don't want them and go chase the multitude of women who are straight. Jeez.
However, as I walked into and began to enter into my truth, my unmasked self, I realized that I was masking my lesbian truth, and I was ready to uncover that and walk in my truth and enter my life as a lesbian woman. And that's here I am, and that's what I'm doing now. When I entered this world, what I realized was there are a lot of women in the community that have not experienced healthy love. Yes, there are a lot of women in the heterosexual community that have not experienced healthy love as well, but that's not what this video is about. This is about lesbianism, okay? This is about the lesbian community. So what I realized quickly, that there are a lot of women in that community that have not experienced healthy love. So here I come along, la-di-da, entering my truth, ready to live out loud and love out loud. And what I didn't realize is, how sometimes there are these women that even in heterosexual relationships feel like they can put their hands on somebody else or put their hands on the man, but the man not supposed to put their hands on them. Well, when you get two of those types of women together, you have a combative situation, because you got one woman that feel like, I'm a woman, I can put my hands on you, and another woman that feel like, well, you're a girl, so I guess you put your hands on me, I can fight you back, right?
Okay, so my very first domestic violence situation was with a woman. The guys that I dated never put their hands on me. It was a woman. She got drunk, decided she wanted to choke me, and I had to fuck her up a little bit. But I don't fight. No, I don't want to fight. And when it gets to the place I have to fight to, we ain't gonna be together. We ain't gonna be together. I mean, because what are we doing? We're supposed to be a team. But yeah, so what she is saying is real and it is true because the emotions. Now, mind you, she was drunk, but still, bitch, who? What are you doing? So it happened. Like I said, I fucked her up a little bit because what the fuck. And needless to say, we're no longer together. But the emotions do run high, and I don't. But I think those who like to fight, they're just toxic anyway. You know what I'm saying? And see, I'm a different type of toxic, but I'm only toxic when I'm matching yours. And at the end of the day, who has time for that? Let's go.
So you just got two women fighting. Or two men fighting or whatever, because I don't know what it's like over there in the male gay community. I'm just, again, talking about the lesbian, the late women lesbianism that I have experienced. So you get two of those type of women together and they feel like, oh, it's okay. But then you get me, late blooming, that's like, we don't put our hands on each other where I come from.
Right.
And yeah, my first girlfriend, fingerprints all over me. You know that song, You Left Your Fingerprints? Literally left her fingerprints all over me. She had this habit of grabbing me. Ladies, you know how we do sometimes when somebody's talking some bullshit, we just walk away. We just want to walk away, right? It's just like, I ain't gonna sit here and listen to this bullshit. I don't have to. But she had this habit of grabbing me. And I told her, stop grabbing me. Stop putting your hands on me. She did it one time too many. Literally left her fingerprints on my arm. There was another incident where it was more of the grabbing, the pushing, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Am I in a DV situation? This can't be the life that I am about to enter, because my next 2-3 relationships, and I don't consider everybody I dated a relationship, I'm talking about actual relationships, was the same. These little microaggressions of physical violence. So I said, God, you mean to tell me I unearthed, unmasked, I, flipped upside down totally, my whole life to walk and live in my truth to deal with this? This can't be the life that you called me to, God. This can't be it. What I realized, it's not. That is not acceptable. It is not healthy, and I do not have to tolerate it to live and walk in my truth.
Right. And, I think as women, we take more from each other or another woman that we wouldn't accept from a man. And I think we give each other this woman pass, or, we just feel so connected that we ignore and excuse a lot of things. And so you have to be mindful. You still have to know your truth and your worth and not deal in the bullshit. There should, even though being in a lesbian relationship is euphoric, it can be very, very toxic. It can be very, very toxic. And if you don't say something as soon as the toxicity raises its head, then you will find yourself in some bullshit. There's also videos, and I might do that of, these women totally crashing out. They tear up houses. I mean, it's not for the weak. It's not for the weak. The violence is never acceptable. It's never the answer. And you just never know who will fuck you up right back. Like, what? No, we don't do that here. So, and it should stay and remain loving. But when you have someone who hasn't healed from whatever it is that they haven't healed from, or maybe that was their childhood, the example that they saw. I don't know. There's many different, ways it can manifest itself. But stop it the first time, or get ghost. The fuck?
Last night, I had a friend over, somebody that I met here on TikTok, and somebody who also is a late bloomer. She came over last night. We ordered dinner in and we talked for about 5 hours, and she shared her story with me. And one part of her story, her entire story, is just amazing. I'm going to tag her here. But one piece of her story, and how she realized that she was gay is just so amazing to me. And so I wanted to share it here. She was raised Orthodox as an Orthodox Jew, grew up as an Orthodox Jew, and got married to a man at 20. It's just like what you did. And had a child by the age of 24 and was living out an Orthodox life with all of the things that you have to do to be Orthodox. It's a lot of rules and a lot of rituals. She was living that out, never particularly enjoyed sexual intimacy, never really got it, just figured she was kind of broken and didn't really, there was no fantasizing about anything. There was just nothing. It was just dead zone. This woman in her 40s saw the L word. And when she watched the L word, she completely freaked out.
The L Word, that show, that series is amazing. Very beautiful, very, just check it out. The L Word. It's a series. It's like, I don't know, 5, 6, 10 seasons long. Very, very good. They tried to bring it back. I don't think it's still going. Sometimes you just gotta leave the original as the original. And also, The Orange is the New Black. That is a good glimpse. I mean, although it's not in the positive environment, that's good as well.
Everything started just coming alive in her, and she felt all of these attractions that she had never remotely felt or knew anything about. And it completely spun her out, and it spun her whole life out. Coming out of the Orthodox community, she lost really everyone. She lost family members, she lost community, siblings, children, grandchildren, everybody, and went through a couple of really, really, really tough years of coming out later in life, and is now in her early 60s and is living a life of true alignment and healing. She is healing herself every single day and doing the work. And she shared with me just that she has no regrets about the journey she traveled, that she has herself and she wouldn't give that up for anything. And that the people that made the decisions to cut her off, those are their decisions. And it hurts, but those weren't her decisions. She chose to stand in her authenticity, and they made their decisions to cut her out because of that. She is stronger and better than she has ever been. And she just wanted to send a message to any of you out there that are terrified of losing everybody. You gain yourself.
And that is like so beautiful and amazing. And again, that's why people have to realize it's not about not being with me. And until you really experience it, you don't understand. You know what I'm saying? You just don't understand. And just like you have the right to choose who you are, they have the right to decide if they don't want to be around you. Everybody has rights and decisions and choices, and that's okay. That is absolutely okay. And I wouldn't want to be around anyone who doesn't support me being happy. And that requires me to change who and what I am for their enjoyment or comfortableness or what have you. So it's a journey, and it really is. It really is about you. And this is not a public service announcement or a promo to try to gain more lesbians, because a new lesbian doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't put no money in my account. It doesn't increase the number of orgasms that I reach. But it's about being your true, authentic self. So the last video that I wanted to take a look at, I thought was beautiful, and how it's supposed to be, and just it's the connection. You know what I mean? It's the unspoken, silent connection. All right, let's go.
One of the first times that my wife and I ever showered together, She washed my whole body, and I cried the whole time. So we had not been seeing each other all that long. Had only seen each other in person a handful of times. So we're in the shower, and she takes the soap and starts to wash my body. And I kind of, become aware that that's what's happening. And the intensity of the intimacy of the moment, the wholesomeness of that act was so overwhelming to me. It was the first time that I had ever felt anything like that. And the emotion welled up in me and came out in the form of tears. So I'm sure that she probably had a moment of like, why is this woman crying? But I also, she understood why. And she washed my entire body, washed my hair. It was one of the more romantic, innocent, beautiful moments of my whole life.
And so, that, if you know, you know. This life isn't for everyone. But if you know, you know. And so, my final thoughts on the situation is to be your authentic self. First, have a talk with yourself. Have a talk with yourself. Be open and honest with yourself. Evaluate what you want, what you don't want, what you like, what you don't like. What is going to make you happy within a relationship? What you need and you seek from a partner, right? And be true to yourself. It may be totally different than what you're expecting or what you expected, right? And then live out your life. And in some cases, as you heard, you may lose some folks, but you have to ask yourself, are those folks even worth keeping if they're not supportive? If you're not doing anything to hurt anyone and to hurt yourself, why wouldn't they want you to be happy? Why would they have a problem, even if it doesn't look like what they think it's supposed to look like, while they live their lives? You know what I mean? So, to all my late in life lesbians who's dealing with remorse and regret, we're here now. It is what it is, and welcome to the party. I'll see you all later. So.